Los Angeles, California. Believe it or not, there are still people in this world who hate the idea of the Macan. It's not a real Porsche. You've no doubt heard this before. But I'm telling you, the Macan is as much a proper Porsche as any other car in the company's lineup. And it takes about 15 minutes behind the wheel to realize that. That's especially true with the range-topping Macan Turbo. A potent biturbo V6 offers tremendous power, and underneath that functional body, there's a wonderful chassis, exquisitely tuned to make this one of the best driving SUVs on the road today. As for this version, equipped with the Performance Pack, well, let's just call it a Macan Turbo S. It's an absolute gem. Of course, it's not perfect. As you'll read in the sections below, the Macan's performance and luxury come at a big cost. My gut tells me this car deserves at least a 9/10 rating, but in the context of all SUVs, even luxury ones, the Turbo's incredible performance can't completely make up for its high cost and low fuel economy. As you'd expect from any car with Porsche and Turbo in its name, this Macan is a superstar on the road. This Performance Pack model adds an extra 40 horsepower and 36 pound-feet of torque to the already potent Macan Turbo, for final output numbers of 440 HP and 442 lb-ft. But it's not just about numbers or straight line speed, 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds, by the way. The Macan deserves high marks for its incredible balance and composure, even on winding roads. The steering is nicely weighted, with lots of great feedback. There's little body roll while cornering. The ride quality is superb, even on these huge 21-inch wheels. I'd probably be just as happy driving a less expensive Macan GTS, but there's no arguing that the Turbo is a standout performer amongst premium crossovers. Of the myriad Porsche 911 variants available, the Targa GTS makes a heck of a case for itself. Los Angeles, California. There are 23 different versions of the Porsche 911 right now, and there isn't a dud among them. From base 911 Carrera all the way up to holy moly that's good GT2Rs, there is a 911 for every kind of driver. Smack dab in the middle of the 911 range lies the GTS series. A step up from base and S models, but not so powerful as to step on the Turbo's toes, the 911 GTS is that sort of just right balance of all the things that make the 911 family so wonderful. This Targa 4 GTS is perhaps the best example of how Porsche's iconic sports car can be so many things to so many people. It is the most versatile of all 911s, a proverbial Swiss Army knife of utility, personality, and behind-the-wheel thrills. Pros. The good stuff, standard. GTS models start by offering a bunch of otherwise optional 911 performance goodies as standard. For instance, while the GTS has the same 3.0-liter turbocharged flat 6 as the Carrera S, it comes with the optional power key, raising output to 450 horsepower and 405 pound-feet of torque, increases of 30 HP and 37 lb-ft over the S. The GTS also comes standard with the center-mounted sport exhaust, the wider body of the all-wheel drive Carrera 4 models, and totally rad center-lock 20-inch wheels from the 911 Turbo S. Inside, you get the GT Sport steering wheel and leather/Alcantara trimmed seats. Additional GTS-specific items include black badges, tinted lamps, and the sport design front fascia. All great things. Good reasons to go Targa. There's something really iconic about the look of the 911 Targa models, with the wraparound rear glass, off-color pillar, and soft top that stows just behind the passenger compartment. As far as topless 911s go, the Targa not only looks better than the Cabriolet, but that big area behind the rear seats means it's super functional, combined with the small front trunk, you get 10.1 cubic feet of cargo space. There isn't any serious wind turbulence with the roof removed when driving at higher speeds, and the weight penalty, about 300 pounds versus a Carrera 4 GTS coupe, is barely noticeable. It might not be the GTS model I'd get, more on that later, but the 911 Targa is not without plenty of merits. A sports car for all occasions. The 911 GTS is such a treat to drive, all of the time. The engine is buttery smooth and tremendously powerful, the 7-speed dual-clutch transmission swapping cogs with a quickness, though I'd still rather have the lovely 7-speed manual. That sport exhaust sounds absolutely killer, raspy and bellowy, totally distinctive. The steering is perfectly weighted so as to be light enough to easily maneuver through parking lots, but with enough heft and feedback to make backroad driving really enjoyable. Porsche's adaptive suspension, PASM, keeps the GTS controlled and balanced, even on broken pavement, and the optional rear axle steering of this test car means it'll whip around bends with incredible precision. All-wheel drive and fat tires offer tremendous grip. And hell, slap a set of winter tires on it in the winter if you live in a cold weather state. I can tell you for a fact that AWD 911s are excellent in the snow. Everything about the way this car drives is practically perfect. Drive a 911 and you'll see why it's been the benchmark for all sports cars for over 50 years. Cons. Not the GTS to get. Unless you absolutely must have the open-air experience, or really love the look of the Targa, which I do, I'd advocate just getting the 911 GTS coupe. For starters, it's nearly $20,000 cheaper, and you're getting the same base GTS kit. Even the Carrera 4 GTS represents a $12,000 savings over the Targa, but because the 911 is so balanced and so grippy, I'm not so sure you even need all-wheel drive. Detroit, Michigan. BMW brings a completely new version of its popular compact SUV to market this year, and it couldn't come at a better time. Not only are US buyers hot on fire for anything vaguely SUV or crossover shaped these days, but German rivals Mercedes-Benz and Audi also have new, and very good, products in this class, as does Volvo. My X3 xDrive 30i represents much of what BMW is doing very well these days, meaning a full-fat complement of tech and safety features, along with a compelling powertrain and nippy driving dynamics. You can buy still sportier small utility vehicles than this X3, but only just, and for more money. The Achilles heel of so many German vehicles, the sticker price. The X3 starts at $42,450 and the final, options included price of my test car was $57,620. Those numbers are, of course, in line with what the aforementioned rivals charge for their small SUVs, but are nevertheless more than many shoppers will be willing, or able, to afford. Still, if you're looking for a daily dose of luxury, and don't really need the cargo or hauling capacity of a larger utility vehicle, there are certainly worse things to spend your money on. You're not going to find an SUV the side of a Porsche badge with loads of steering feel or the ability to goad its driver into hard corners. But the X3 does just fine in the more normal spectrum of daily use. Handling is crisp and stable at speed, but without much road harshness transferring into the cabin. The powertrain is no slouch, either. The 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder kicks out 248 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, propelling the small U to 60 miles per hour in about 6 seconds. Very fast shifts from the 8-speed automatic gearbox help to involve the driver, when she might demand, but is more than willing to drop into the background the rest of the time. The Nissan Murano's appeal has always been how it eschews the traditional blocky shape of an SUV for a svelte, sophisticated, even futuristic appearance. The latest version turns that up 11, but there are still many things about the Murano that traditional SUV shoppers will like. In terms of price, the Murano falls right in between more common fare like the Ford Edge and higher-end options like the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Its base price of nearly $42,000 may seem high, but consider that this loaded Platinum Model I tested only cost $4,500 more and comes standard with every option. That's something you'll appreciate when cross-shopping the Murano with vehicles that nickel and dime you for options even after you've selected their highest trim level. As mentioned above, the Murano has exceptional ride quality, the flip side of which is that it's not really a corner carver. That's okay, as that's not this vehicle's raison d'etre, nor is it of most SUVs. Plus, there is a gem of an engine underhood that makes driving the Murano daily a joy. It's Nissan's venerable 3.5-liter V6 that's been around for ages but never seems to age. Providing 260 horsepower and 240 pound-feet of torque and mated to the brand's Stronach continuously variable transmission, it dutifully pulls around the Murano without breaking a sweat or making a racket. Unfortunately, its power and choice of transmission don't translate well to towing, allowing for only 1,500 pounds to follow along behind. Detroit, Michigan. Few car segments have as wide-ranging demands placed upon them as hatchbacks. They must be efficient, affordable, and spacious, while also delivering a modicum of driving enjoyment and all of the latest in-car technologies. The Volkswagen Golf has long excelled in this segment because it manages all those competing demands equally satisfactorily. The 2018 model has a handful of visual changes on the outside and some reshuffled equipment options, but what hasn't changed is its trend of delivering a sensible, lovable experience for everyday drivers. Where the Volkswagen Golf excels is in its compliant ride and hushed cabin, keeping driver and passengers alike cocooned from the outside world. The car's handling through curves is more than competent, though uninspiring steering and a soft brake pedal don't live up to the high expectations we have from the sportier GTI and R variants. With 170 horsepower but a gutsy 199 pound-feet of torque, the Golf is fleet on its feet, especially thanks to the quick work of its 6-speed automatic transmission. Acceleration, like those power ratings, is about average for this class of car, far from exciting, but brisk enough that you'll never struggle to keep pace with traffic.